Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. In today's video, I am continuing my ranking every single Beatles song. This time I'm going 4 songs, 68 through 65 on my list, so stay tuned to see what that is here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well here on a Saturday night. Hanging out here at my house and having a good time. And I'm here to talk more about the Beatles. I got a Beatles record up there, in fact, the Abbey Roads. Covering 4 more songs, getting to 68 through 65, so I'm getting down there. So these are just really, really great Beatles songs. Of course, I'm covering at this point. Just talk about a couple things I've gotten recently. Can't notice, but I bought a record holder. I guess I don't know if you want to call it a stand or something like that, and got that today. So I'm really happy. Before I had something behind the record that I was like leaning it against, but I thought I really need like an actual holder to probably put it in there anyway. So I'm glad I got that the other day, or I got that today. Anyway, so it holds up the record pretty good. Anyways, you can see the records up there. I like to change them up every video. Another thing I got, I'm really excited about, something I've been wanting to get, is this book called The McCartney Legacy, Volume 1, 1969 to 1973. The first volume in a series of books by these 2 authors, covering Paul McCartney's, covering Paul McCartney's music career after the Beatles, basically. If you know, there's maybe the most popular biography right now going is Mark Lewison's Tune In All These Years, Volume 1. Mark Lewison is writing 3-volume books, each one like almost 1,000. They're like 800, 900 pages long, and they're covering all the Beatles' career. He's only got 1 volume out right now, Mark Lewison, because they're extremely detailed. I mean, it's the most detailed book I've seen on the Beatles, which is pretty cool. Very long book. It covers basically their life from birth to 1962. It ends in December 31st, 1962, basically. And so the next volume 2 book is going to start right on January 1st, 1963, and I think probably cover 63 to 66. But he takes 10 years to write the book because he spends so much time researching. I mean, he spends all his time researching, trying to get as much information as he can before he starts writing one of these books. So as someone who's really waiting for these books, kind of sucks having to wait 10 years for the next book. Of course, I got the first one over there. In fact, I'm pointing out right there. I did a video on it, in fact, a while ago, maybe a year ago or so. And his second volumes, Mark Lewison's second volumes, probably should come out this next year, I think, is what I've been thinking as projected wise. I haven't heard really any information recently, but we're just getting into 2023. But I feel like 2024 is kind of the date that we were hoping that he would get the next one out. So I'm hoping for that one. But what's cool is that now we're starting with this McCartney Legacy kind of series of books. It's doing the same thing, but just for McCartney, Paul McCartney. And again, this is only covering 4 years, 1969 and 1973. It's a 675-page book, so it's just covering 4 years, but it's obviously covering a lot of information. I haven't started reading it yet. I'm really excited to start reading this book, and I'm excited for more volumes on Paul McCartney because he's my favorite solo artist, I guess you can say. After being a huge Beatles fan, I love his solo work, and so it'd be cool to see the history of his just solo work after the Beatles. And again, it's covering in pretty good detail since it's only covering 4 years of his life, basically. And we're getting kind of the end of the Beatles there in 1969 and kind of starting his solo career. So I'm real excited to get to that. It sounds like from what I've read about the authors is that they're not spending 10 years, though, to make each book. They're gonna spend a couple of years in between, I think, to write the next one or something like that. But we're not going to get 10 years. So that's nice to know that I don't have to wait too long for the next volume. So, but yeah, so I'll be reading that for several months now. Probably try to get through that, and I'll probably do a review of the book once I get through it. But anyways, I just want to say a couple things that I've gotten recently. I'm pretty excited. I bought a table a new table to put my record player on and my CD player, and also has a space underneath it to also hold records. So I should be getting that this next week, and so I'm excited to get to put that together. Really, I haven't had a real good table to put my record player on and my CD player. I haven't had a lot of room, so glad to get that and put that together, and I'll show that off maybe once I get that all together. Right now, I just put my records right there on my bookshelf. But anyways, yeah, so let's get to my ranking of the 4 songs. At number 68, I have pretty classic, of course, these are all great Beatles songs, but pretty classic one. This is Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Comes off the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album, the Lennon McCartney song. Especially, definitely more of a Lennon song. And it definitely ties into his love of Alice in Wonderland, which from what I read from his biography, that he was a big fan as a kid of Alice in Wonderland. And if you know Alice in Wonderland, it's a very trippy movie. A lot of trippy things are happening, a lot of strange things. And so this is a very trippy song. And it has definitely an Alice in Wonderland type feel to it, the lyrics, as we got marmalade skies and whatever, the description of this place, I guess Lucy's in the sky with diamonds is kind of this magical, mystical place, I guess. And there's a boat in the river, and it's kind of describing this kind of interesting fantasy place anyways. And so he uses a lot of interesting descriptive words of this place anyways. And I think that was very much, sounds like kind of an Alice in Wonderland type of idea of coming up with a fantasy world and all these descriptive words. Anyways, that's what kind of makes the song really interesting. Of course, there's a whole story behind it that his son Julian came home with a picture that he drew, and he drew he had a friend named Lucy, and he drew a picture of her in the sky with a diamond or whatever. And that's where inspired John seeing this picture that his son drew and somehow came up with a really good song. Only, the Beatles come up with really good songs off of maybe other bands do, but I just know the Beatles really well. And it's like, they just come up with anything can inspire them to write a great song. And this is one of those that Lennon did anyways. Of course, the controversy is that Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds spells LSD. So they think that John wrote it to spell out LSD because he was taking it, which he was. But that's really it's not a drug song necessarily or about, LSD, though it's probably drug inspired. I mean, could be in that. It's kind of a strange song. It's very much one of those psychedelic songs. I mean, the Beatles were really into psychedelic music at this point in Sgt. Pepper's. Yeah, we're getting in psychedelic rock music, and maybe one of the great psychedelic rock albums, you'd probably say, Sgt. Pepper's. It's up there with, I know I hear Revolver and Magical Mystery Tour, definitely a psychedelic album. Anyway, so yeah, it's really great. I love the guitar on it. It has a really cool sound to it. And I love the guitar through it. Bum, 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 that whole thing. And then the drumming's coming in. Bum, 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 Lucy. When it gets into that chorus, I mean, it's a really fun chorus to sing to. Yeah, a real fun song. Or always a favorite of mine since I was a kid. Is here at number 68, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Number 67, another song kind of around that era. This is another big one, popular song. This is All You Need Is Love. Came off of, it was a single first, and then they end up putting on the Magical Mystery Tour album, the second half of the album. And it was a Lennon McCartney song, but really John Lennon, again, was really the main writer of this one. It was a number 1 single in the UK and US, so, I mean, very popular song, did very, very well. Of course, the story behind is that they were doing, I can't remember who was doing this, but somebody was doing this worldwide thing where they would, each country would put some kind of, they would have it'd be on TV, I guess, and they would put a camera on a country that would then showcase something out of their country onto TV, whatever it was. I don't think it had to be music necessarily, but when it came to England was like, what's our best asset? it's the Beatles. The Beatles are the biggest thing in the world. So of course they thought, if we're going to put something out, it's going to be the Beatles. That's the number one export of England. And so they said, John Lennon, we need or probably Lennon McCartney, we need a song, to blow everybody away, to be, for this worldwide thing. And Lennon I've heard some different tales about like whether John Lennon had the song written already or did he write the song just for this event. And I remember in the documentary that I think Ringo says something about that. He's pretty sure John wrote it for the thing, or George Martin, I think, said maybe he's pretty sure he wrote it for the thing. And anyway, so whatever. But obviously, it's a great song because it's all about love. It's a very hippie, idea. All we need is love in the world, And so it's a good song to reach out to the world. Very positive idea. Also, I mean, lyrically, it's like simple, but really, I really enjoyed the lyrics. It seems these contrasting words, or I don't know what you want to call them, but nothing can be sung that hasn't been sung, or whatever. Nothing can be this without this. I like the lyrics overall. It's pretty nice. Of course, very positive song. Another great chorus, all you need is love. Great horns. I love the horn section in this song. I love how it ends with all the Beatles coming together and singing different things like "She loves you," yeah. They do that, and it has a fun ending. Of course, and you have like a group of people. I think Mick Jagger's in there, and a lot of other famous musicians are singing along with the "All you need is love" and all that. Love is all you need. Yeah, very positive sounding song. Very fun song to listen and sing to. Definitely one of the greats. At number 67, All You Need Is Love. Number 66, it's somewhat of a more underrated song for me that I really like, and one of my favorite songs off of Hard Day's Night, and that's I'll Be Back. I believe it's the closing song on the record, which is a pretty good song to say, hey, it's the end of the record, but I'll be back, Yeah, and of course, it would be a famous Schwarzenegger line, so it's funny talking about this song and saying the words "I'll be back" without going "I'll be back," But it's a Lennon McCartney song. Mostly Lennon got the idea from a Del Shannon song, and he kind of came up with this one. Again, it's not one you think about or talk about. I think about it, but I don't think people talk about it enough off the album. It's not one of the big hits, but it's a really, really good song. It's more of a low-key song. I don't know. It's more softer type song. It's got great harmonies. That's what I love about it. I love the harmonies on here. And I love the guitar when it's like, but I'll be back again, bum, bum, bum. I mean, it's simple, but absolutely love when the guitar kicks in there. And then when you get to like the bridge and John really shows his vocals and he comes in, and I love the oh, and you. Like that transition is so great between the bridge and back into the chorus. It's just a song about, someone leaving and saying, or you leave and break up, but then I'll be back again into the relationship. Nothing groundbreaking, maybe lyrically, but man, it's just a great sounding song. I absolutely love this. Thought it was a great closer for Hard Day's Night album. So I have it here at 66, I'll Be Back. Now, 65, last song on here, another very underrated song that I actually really, really like, and that's called Wait. In fact, you might be thinking, if you're not a Beatles fan, you'd be like, wait, I never heard of that. Yeah. It's not the big one. It comes off the Rubber Soul album, one of my favorite albums. Another Lennon McCartney song. It was actually written for the Help album, but didn't get on there. I guess they didn't feel like it was good enough maybe to get on there, and so when they were making Rubber Soul, they put it on here. It sounds like they didn't have a lot of confidence behind it. From what I read, like I said, Paul was writing this song when he was in the Bahamas for Help. There's a scenes shot there in the Bahamas in the movie Help. Towards the end of the movie, I think it's kind of where it ends basically. And so while they were probably downtime shooting the movie, Paul McCartney, the great songwriter he is, just comes up with the song "Wait," and it probably shows it to everybody. And so when they were coming up with the Help album, It didn't, evidently, I don't think everybody thought it was good enough to get on there. And in fact, from what I read, it was considered a throwaway song just to finish this album. Like they needed one more song for this album, Rubber Soul. And so Paul McCartney probably was like, well, I got this one song I wrote during Help that didn't get on the Help album that could, we could finish this album with that. And so it's kind of a last minute, like it sounds like to me from what I'm researching, it sounded like a last minute kind of add on to Rubber Soul. And like I said, not a song that anybody talks about or is a big hit, but to me, it's a very underrated song. Absolutely love it. The harmonies are just amazing on this album. I mean, throughout the whole song, it's basically like all harmonies. And but again, like the rest of the album, Rubber Soul is just great guitar playing. Yeah, I just love their voices together, especially John and Paul together, and just how it kind of, and just the way the way the verses are kind of the way it goes, and then all of a sudden you kick into the chorus, and it's like, it's been a long time, now I'm coming back home. Bum 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 bum. Wait till we come back. Just the way they transition from that verse to the chorus, and the chorus goes, wait till like it's so great. I love when it kicks in there. And yeah, just a really, really solid rock song, great harmonies from the Beatles, which I love. That's why I love the Beatles, because the great harmonies that they have and the great guitar playing and everything, musicianship works so well together. And yeah, I really love this song. Wait, number 65 on my list. So that's my 68 through 65 on my ranking every single Beatles song. Feel free to comment. What do you think? Or where do you think these songs would be on your list? What's your favorite out of here? Love to read them. And just thank you to everybody watching this video. Thank you for everybody liking it. And just thank you to all the subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all. I hope you have a good day.